Some people aren't very talkative. Sometimes you don't even have the words for what's really going on inside your heart.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't love deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're dedicating this deep dive to the quiet ones,
Right.
the people who don't always wear their emotions on their sleeve.
It's such an important topic because when an introvert falls in love, they're not usually the type to be, posting 100 photos or making these grand poetic speeches.
No.
They care quietly. They're thinking about the person they love constantly. But the problem, and this is really the core of what we're digging into, is that their silence is just so easily misunderstood.
Exactly. The partner starts to think they're cold or maybe bored or just not that into them.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, the introvert's heart is completely full, but their tongue just stays silent. They can get hurt and not scream about it. They might cry, but nobody sees it. It's this huge disconnect.
Yeah, it is. Which brings us to our mission today. We've got a really great stack of sources, everything from lifestyle pieces to deep psychological insights from places like Psychology Today and the Introvert Dear podcast.
And we're going to use all of that to try and decode this almost foreign language of quiet love. We aren't just listing personality traits here.
Yeah.
We're trying to redefine what intimacy can look like when you prioritize depth over, display.
So if you're the quiet person who's always worried your silence is a burden, or on the other hand, if you're with a quiet person and you're just trying to figure them out, this is for you.
Okay, so let's get into the root of this struggle first, because it's not as simple as just being shy. There is a legitimate internal battle going on.
There really is.
We found this source that calls it the ultimate introvert's dilemma. And it describes this double fear that's actually kind of terrifying when you think about it.
It is, but it explains so much. It's framed as this constant tension between engulfment and abandonment. So think of it like the sun. On one hand, the introvert fears the sun being swallowed by the relationship, losing who they are, just being totally overwhelmed. That's engulfment.
Right, I get that. But then there's the other side. The fear of the sun setting.
Exactly, the fear of being left behind. So they're caught in this impossible middle ground. They're trying to guard their energy so they don't get overwhelmed, but they're also terrified that if they guard it too much, their true quiet self is just going to scare people away.
That's a total paradox.
It's a complete paradox. They want connection, but the connection costs the very energy they have to budget so carefully. And, this fear isn't just in their heads. There's this article that talks about the ice queen myth.
Oh, I know this one. The idea that if you're not constantly smiling and chatty, people assume you're mean or something's wrong.
Precisely. Society just defaults to extroversion as the, quote, correct way to be. So if an introvert is just thinking, lost in their own world, their face might go neutral.
And to an outsider, that reads as unapproachable or stuck up.
Or that you're hiding something, when really they're just They're processing. But this constant misinterpretation leads to something the research calls risk regulation. Because they're often more sensitive to rejection, they protect themselves by holding back even more. The silence becomes a shield.
That brings up a really fascinating point from another source. It said that if an introvert seems a little nervous around you, or if they overthink their texts, it's not because they're not interested. It's because your opinion matters too much to them.
That is such a crucial reframe. We're conditioned to see nervousness as a bad sign, but for an introvert, that hesitation often means the stakes feel incredibly high.
Yeah.
They care so much, they're afraid of saying the wrong thing, and so they say nothing at all.
So if silence is the default,
Yeah.
how do we actually spot the love? Because all our sources are super clear that the love is there. It looks like logistics.
Love as logistics. I love this concept. It completely shifts the lens from romance as this big performance to romance as a service, as care.
The story that really got me was the one about the couple in the park. The writer saw this couple and they were sharing a thermos. No selfies, no loud laughing.
Right.
The guy just poured the tea and carefully tucked a napkin under the rim of the cup so it wouldn't drip on her coat.
And she just smiled. That's it. That's the whole language. It's not a speech. It's anticipating a need. It's about removing a tiny piece of friction from your partner's day.
It's checking the weather and putting an umbrella in their bag without even saying anything.
Or looking up the parking situation at a restaurant beforehand so they don't get stressed out later.
Exactly. To an extrovert, that might seem like, I don't know, boring admin work. But to an introvert, that is a profound declaration of care. It says, I have thought about your future comfort, and I have taken steps to protect it.
Safety.
For an introvert, safety is sexy. And this ties into another layer, which is how they spend their time. This idea of presence over performance.
Right. Back to the energy budget. It's all about the energy budget. They have a finite social battery. Every interaction costs them something. So if an introvert chooses to spend their quiet, recharge time with you, that's maybe the biggest compliment they can give.
I loved the example of the annoying form test.
Yes.
Yes.
Just sitting next to someone while they do something boring, like fill out tax forms or medical paperwork, and just calling it company.
It sounds so mundane to some people.
But think about what it actually signifies. It means, I don't need you to entertain me. I don't need to perform for you. I just want to exist in the same space as you. That's a level of intimacy that grand gestures can't really touch.
It's being alone, but together.
That's it. And it's also about listening, but not just nodding along.
No, it's like data collection.
It's totally data collection. They are observers. They're constantly logging these little data points. They notice you hate cilantro, or that you always prefer the window seat, or you sleep better if you read for 5 minutes.
And then they just deploy that information later. Quietly, no big deal. They just make sure to order your tacos without cilantro.
It's love with a good memory. And it's important to see that this is an active thing. It's not passive silence. It's silence that is working for you.
I want to shift gears a little bit to something deeper. We've talked about logistics and just hanging out, but what about actual vulnerability? For a group that guards their privacy so intensely, letting someone in has to be a massive deal.
It's the whole ballgame. This is where we get into the idea of the inner sanctum. One source puts it beautifully. It says introverts often live 2 different lives. The public version, which is a bit of a performance.
A mask.
A mask. And then there's the private version, inside the walls of their home.
So getting invited over to their place isn't just a casual thing.
Not at all. It's an invitation into their sanctuary. If an introvert lets you into their private space or shares their deep interests, their favorite weird music, the books that, shape them, they are basically designating you as a safe place.
It's like getting a key to the city.
It really is. And this extends to people too. Introverts usually don't have this huge, sprawling network of friends. They have an inner circle.
Right.
So if they introduce you to their handful of close friends or their family, that is a huge act of vulnerability. It's not just a social formality. They're trusting you with the people who matter the most to them.
There was one sign of vulnerability in the sources that actually really surprised me. It was about asking for help.
Oh, this is a big one, a really big one. Introverts are usually fiercely independent. They're so used to figuring things out on their own, partly to avoid being a burden.
So if they actually turn to you and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this, or can you help me move this couch?
It's not weakness. That's a sign that they have truly lowered their guard. They trust you enough to admit they can't do it all alone. That is a massive compliment from someone who prides themselves on self-sufficiency.
And then there's the phone call exception. I had to laugh at this because I hate talking on the phone, but the source pointed out that if an introvert calls you, like actually dials your number just to hear your voice, you need to pay attention.
It's such a deliberate choice to step out of their comfort zone. Texting is safe. You can edit. You can control the message. A phone call is immediate. It's intimate. If they're choosing that, they're craving connection with you.
Okay, so I've got the logistics, the inner circle, the phone calls. But, relationships aren't always easy. What happens when there's a conflict? Or when the introvert starts to feel like they're just too much work?
That feeling of being too much work is so common. There's a really direct source we found that addresses this head on. This idea that introverts feel like a burden because they have boundaries or needs.
Like needing to leave a party early or needing that quiet time after work.
Exactly. And the author reframes this so powerfully. He says, look, you are not a burden. Or maybe a better way to put it is that we are all burdens to each other. That's what a relationship is. It's sharing burdens.
I love that. I want to worry about you, at least a little bit.
Yes. Letting a partner care for you isn't an imposition. It's a gift of intimacy. You are allowing them the joy of giving. If you hide your needs so you're not difficult, you're actually robbing them of the chance to truly love you.
But when a real fight does happen, they handle that differently too, right?
They do. They generally hate high drama conflict. One of our sources calls their style repair without pageantry.
Repair without pageantry.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No big screaming matches in the rain then.
Hopefully not, no. Instead, you have to look for the small bridges. It might be a short text an hour later apologizing for being sharp.
Or just a hand on the shoulder as they walk past.
Yes, or a quiet question like, hey, can we try this again tomorrow? It's subtle. And they also do this thing called guarding your dignity. If you're messing up a story at a party, they won't correct you in front of everyone. They'll rescue you from a conversation you're stuck in.
They protect you in public and deal with the issue in private.
Which is huge. But even with all this understanding, there's still that translation gap. The partner might still miss all these signals.
Right.
Which is why we need to talk about the solution from one of the sources. It's called subtitling.
This is the most practical tool we found.
It really is. The core problem is that intention isn't translation. You can show love by filling up the car with gas, but if your partner doesn't speak that language, they just see a full tank, not a full heart.
So subtitling is literally just narrating your actions.
Pretty much. The introvert doesn't need to change their whole personality and become some loud, expressive person. They just need to add subtitles, at least at first.
So something like, hey, I'm leaving this glass of water by your bed to show I love you.
Exactly. It might feel a little silly the first time you say it. I planned out this route so you wouldn't get anxious in traffic.
Yeah.
But once you narrate the action, you're teaching your partner how to read you. You're giving them the dictionary for your language.
And the source also suggests adding a visible flourish every now and then.
Right, like lighting a candle at dinner, not because you care about the ambiance, but because you know that they read candles as an act of care. It's a small, deliberate signal that says, I see you and I'm stepping into your world for a moment.
So when you put it all together, what does this really mean for us?
Well, I think it means we have to stop seeing quiet love as less than loud love. It's steady, it's observant, it's deeply rooted in safety and consistency. It's really the difference between a firework and a hearth fire.
Yeah. One is exciting for a second.
And the other one keeps you warm all night.
And for the introverts listening, I really want to circle back to where we started. Your emotions are not a weakness. You deserve someone who understands you without forcing you to speak all the time.
Please do not force yourself to stay with someone who doesn't get how your heart works. If you feel like you're constantly having to perform to be loved, that's just not sustainable. True intimacy is when your silence is understood just as clearly as your words.
I just want to leave you with this image from one of the sources. Don't miss the love just because it isn't wearing a costume. A steady flame will always keep you warmer than a firework.
And if you're with a quiet person, just try to read the subtitles. Look for the logistics. Look for the safety they are constantly building around you, because that is where the love is.
If any of this resonated with you, share this deep dive with a quiet person in your life, or maybe with the loud person who needs a translator. It might just save a lot of misunderstanding. Thanks for listening.
Take care.